welcome. I'm so sorry, ladies and gents, that we are running a little bit late today on the Hcast. I was actually waiting for Tom, Culture, Nick, the regular panel, but unfortunately they're all a little bit late today. So I do apologize. Obviously, that's why we're getting started late. But this is the Hcast, episode number 36. 36 episodes. We're plodding through this. We've got a bit of an action-packed one today. Lots of Disney focused elements. So we've got Indiana Jones, the Dial of Destiny. We've got stuff to do, poking and laughing at the Little Mermaid. We've got things with respect to Warner Brothers Discovery binning people off, Disney binning people off. It's deep topics, not a lot of topics, but deep topics. And joining us, if you don't follow me over on Twitter at Mr. H Reviews, we have a guest panelist today, guest contributor, which is Chris from Bleeding Fool, not to be mistaken for Bleeding Cool. Introduce yourself and Bleeding Fool and what you guys do.
Chris Brawley, editor-in-chief of Bleeding Fool, a big fan of the Mr. H Reviews channel, and Nate and all the guys that are generally here. Following pop culture. Yeah, generally. Yeah, sure. And maybe they'll join us, right? Maybe they will. We're hoping for Tom to make a safe journey back. But yeah, we're just examining what's happened to pop culture. Bleeding Fool, as many of your viewers are probably familiar with, our inspiration, Uncle Rich, over at Bleeding Cool. We wound up launching Bleeding Fool just sort of as a stick in the eye. I was a frequent contributor, not contributor, but commenter on Bleeding Cool's website, and one day realized that I'd been shadow banned, and I said, well, it's not that hard to start your own website. So quickly went out and got a complimentary URL and started the website. And we are the alternative, because if you have to tell people you're cool, you probably aren't cool.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that is true. In fairness, that is true. Have you had any? Did you ever get any pushback from them on that?
Well, Rich has made a couple of jabs, but apparently they're not going to defend their honor or dignity because maybe they have none, and we're doing what we're doing. And we clearly say in our Twitter profile that we are not, Bleeding Cool. We want people to be sure that we're not. But once you go and read our content,
it's pretty clear.
Yeah, we're on the other side of the fence.
Oh dear. Yeah, very, very good. Very good. So obviously, running this podcast, we'll get some sort of guest contributors dropping in here and there. And as Bleeding Fool have been sharing some of my videos here and there, they do good work. I like their website. I've said it here before. Go give them a follow over on Twitter and go check out some of their stuff because they're good and they're well worth a checkout as well. Putting it on your daily news roster. There you go. That's what we should do. So unfortunately, guys, like I said, we will get into some of the topics. Tom, by the looks of it, he's not going to be here for another 40 odd minutes. Culture Casino, who knows? He's got, I don't know if this is a euphemism or anything like that, but he's got a refrigerator repairman coming round to replace a broken fan. So we'll see what happens with that. Nick, he's probably so deep in a chill stream, he's just disappeared. I don't know what's going on. Don't know what to tell you guys. It's not my fault. But if you like, you want to support the show, you want to chime into any of the topics that we're going to be covering today, then please do use the super chat function. It goes a really long way. It really does help out, and it gets your comments heard, your voice heard on this show as well. We also have a member, so if you want to join the memberships, become a member, that helps out. We actually got a new member here, which is TNeil89, aka Dislikes Puns. You've been a member before, if I remember rightly. But thank you so much for becoming a member again, I'm guessing. So thank you so much. Right, so I think first things first. First things first. Let's talk about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, right? Mm-hmm. Because this is an interesting one. Is that so? It's bombing, obviously, but it's interesting for a few reasons. Because for me, I had actually heard good things from a reliable source that had worked on the film directly, and they'd also worked on Evil Dead Rise directly. And I liked Evil Dead Rise, and they said very similar things. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe this would be good then. And oh my God, it's been just torn apart. And when I say torn apart, just to clarify, ladies and gents in the chat, it's mixed. But anything other than incredibly positive is being torn apart in the case of this film because they spent so much fucking money on it. So much money, obscene sums of money. You know, $350+ million. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? So what I mean, what's your sort of take on this? What's your thoughts in general on this movie? And we'll take a look and, you know, have a prod and a laugh at some of the reviews because they are hilarious.
I think that this is it's all rests at the feet of Kathleen Kennedy. I think that she is doing what she does to the legacy characters when she takes over these new properties. And even though there aren't as many reviews yet, they are from the top critics or all the way down. It's ranked lower than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
God damn. That's when you know you've messed up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it's Raiders, The Last Crusade, and Temple of Doom. And that's the trilogy for me.
Temple of Doom as well. Such a good movie. Yeah. Such a good movie.
Well, it actually ranks lower by the critics than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull does. But for me, it's much higher. I enjoyed that.
Temple of Doom does?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Temple of Doom is a fantastic movie.
Yeah, I agree. The best part is when he's coming across the bridge there. And I love that scene. But his gun, didn't have his gun on him. So I think that might have been when the Shills, we started seeing the Shills come out, because that movie's pretty much indefensible also. Yeah. I noticed that this was at 33% a few days ago. The new movie, and the Shills have come in with their positive reviews and bumped it up to a solid 49%.
Well, now it's at 50.
Okay, well they're pushing
38. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, Rotten Tomatoes has a history of playing silly buggers. When it comes to Disney products, and I've said this before. It was literally a Marvel movie that made Rotten Tomatoes. Well, that instigated Rotten Tomatoes' change of their process. It was Captain Marvel.
That's right.
And I can believe they're going to do something again with this. I can absolutely believe it, because again, you got your screenshot here, because it's your article. You got 37 reviews, and just with one more, I mean, it's straight up a whole percentage up to 50.
That's right. And wait till they release it. The audience score is they're gonna make it as high as they possibly can.
Well, so Peter Pan and Wendy, they removed a whole bunch of scores recently. They just obliterated. I think it was like over 5,000 audience scores just gone overnight. I mean, it's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. And
well, it's like Rotten Tomatoes has no integrity. Because we know they're gaming the system. We know they are. And we know they're doing it on Disney's behalf. But it's really sort of the only game in town except for Metacritic, right?
Yeah, so Metacritic, I mean, even IMDb, you can't trust IMDb because that's Amazon, and they were changing everything with respect to Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Yeah. They weren't sharing the reviews at that point. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But I mean, your article, why else would they refuse to release their $350+ million film to the public 6 weeks before its June 30th theatrical release? That was foolish, as is the case with everything Kathleen Kennedy and Disney does. I think it's amazing how someone can screw up so consistently and monumentally as well. And just
maybe it's blackmail. I don't know. She has to know something on somebody. That's the only thing that explains it, or it's just pure ignorance.
For me, it never makes any sense. It never made any sense why they spent so much money on this movie anyway.
Right. Well, because I think reshoots had to be.
Yeah, and also CGI. But But the thing is, you wouldn't make the movie to begin with, right? You just wouldn't, because at the end of the day, this has to make like Avatar money.
Yeah,
You know, it
850
has to
or
make
something, 900.
a billion. It
Yeah.
has to cross that.
They
sort
would
of
be
mark.
happy with $1 billion. That's right.
I
think if they got $1 billion, they might restart that TV show that they had planned, because there was word that they were going to do a new Indiana Jones TV show on Disney Plus, and there was word that it was going to be Phoebe in that ongoing television role, and that got canned.
Fucking hell.
Can you believe it? This is the same woman that made James Bond a simp who died in the last movie. What a train wreck.
I hate that movie so much. It was crap.
I hated it too.
Absolutely.
I hated it too.
Terrible.
I wish I'd never watched it.
Well, unfortunately, I have to, and I'm sure you.
I know.
A certain element of what you have to as well.
But I mean, I'm a James Bond fan, right? I would have wanted to watch it even if I didn't have the website, and I was disappointed.
Well, it's amazing to go from Mads Mikkelsen, that Casino Royale film,
yeah,
to then that.
There's a very good fan edit, by the way, of the first 4 Daniel Craig movies, and they've edited it into a Netflix 10-episode series. So each episode is like 45 to 55 minutes long, and it's got a neat little intro every time. It's really sharp. I recommend any of your viewers look for that. It's out there.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, goodness me. 76, 77. How did the critics not like Temple of Doom as much as Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
Well,
it's probably all the cultural elements that they perceive to be massively racist or something.
No. Back then, that was 84. They didn't care. I think it was because it was so violent, and that was the movie that created the PG-13 rating, I think.
That was the point of it, though.
I know. No, I agree.
Honestly, hearts being removed by not removing them.
Yeah. Well, it was probably a little scary for some of those underage 12 toddlers.
Oh, well.
Youngsters. Oh, well. It was a fun movie.
It's a great movie. Absolutely great movie. Let's sort of have a look at what some of the critics are saying, and then guys, we'll pick up your super chats in a minute. So if you want to join in, again, super chats are the way to do it. So it is mixed, right? And that's really important to note. It is absolutely mixed, but they are not going to be happy with that. And it's context matters in something like this. To say, well, it's 50%, that's not horrendous. It is if you spent $350 million on it. That's awful. Like, that's
now, Nate, look at the good reviews too. That one at the bottom.
Not very good.
It's nagging. There could be a much better Indiana Jones film buried in here, and that's a positive review. Boy, they're doing their best.
Exactly. Like, what do you say? I'm speechless. Like, what do you even say to something like that? Like, you can't even respond. It speaks for itself, doesn't it? At that point,
yeah. It's a shame. It's really a shame. It's a shame because, there could have been a better movie. I think if you think about the original trilogy, all of them, he was searching for like a religious artifact. The bookends are biblical, and the middle one is sort of this culture's, these tribes thing. And it's this religious artifact. And I think they got away with that with Crystal Skull. They did the Aliens, science fiction. And I think they just didn't know anywhere else to go. And you have Hollywood is run by so many virulent atheists. The last thing they would do is go to another biblical artifact, right? And I think they kind of cornered themselves to do something stupid like time travel. And it's time travel. I mean, if you dig into some of these reviews, they travel through time in the third act. I hope you don't get a copyright claim for that reveal, but it's out there.
No, they're not as bad as Legendary.
Okay.
God damn, reminded me of that. It's just the thing is, there's something interesting and compelling about exploring religion as if it was accepted as a norm and the artifacts were there and it was true.
Right.
Like the sort of you questioning faith on a realistic, tangible level is interesting and compelling, and in terms of Indiana Jones, it was always interesting and compelling because it was something which the Nazis actually did.
Exactly.
Right? Like they actually did that. They
Yeah.
actually hunted for these things. They actually went about trying to find these things. So that is, you know, it's a truly interesting element of looking at real life and going, well, what if they were actually successful? Or what if they were almost successful, but someone from our side managed to get there first? That's really interesting.
Oh, it's,
you know,
it's
that's
clever.
a compelling narrative
Mhm.
to look at something which was, you know, lost to time as myth and legend. Because, you know, you go speak to a 19-year-old pleb now and you go, do you know what the Nazis did? They actually did. They go, fuck off. You don't know what you're talking about. You go, no, they actually did.
Oh,
They don't think it's true. So it's lost to time as myth and legend, and then reincorporating it as, you know, well, this is what happened, you know, and this is a guy from our side. It's such, I mean, it's just creative bankruptcy as well.
Yeah, it feels like something like a national treasure hunt or something. They could have even gone with something like Atlantis or something that is an existing legend in our history of mankind. It didn't have to be biblical, but I know what you're saying. I like it. And I think Spear of Destiny, I know that Hitler was looking for that. There's all kinds of artifacts that they could have continued, sort of an ongoing. And I think the comic books and some of the novels did that. I'm sure there's some good material out there that I'm not familiar with. And, you know, I encourage Indiana Jones fans to seek that out, and the Blu-ray versions of the trilogy.
Yeah. I never massively even hated the young Indiana Jones. I thought that even has its has its place. It's not utterly atrocious. Certainly not as bad as what this is going to inevitably be.
Yeah. It's a shame.
Yeah. Again, you know, it's all pretty goofy, laborious over its 142 minutes. And this is the other thing. And I say this about films all the time. You got a movie that's like, I like a long movie. I genuinely appreciate a long movie when it earns its runtime. 2 hours, 24 minutes. Holy shit. That has to be a good movie. You know, it really has to be a good movie, because that's a long time. It has to be a good movie on multiple levels, because one, in a 90-minute runtime, you can show many movies showings in a day, much more than you can a movie that's 2.5 hours. So that's an issue, because you're narrowing your band of profit margins on a daily basis, because you physically can't show that many screenings because it's too long. So it has to be good on that basis, because then the people that can't get into the showings that are available, you know, want to come back to another one, and, you know, good word of mouth propels it that way. But then also, who the hell wants to sit there for 2.5 hours when it's garbage? Because that's the first thing they'll come out and go, God, that was long and shit. And that's the stuff that people will be, you know, hearing about straight away.
Yeah. There's 2 hours and 20 minutes I'll never get back. That's what they're going to be saying as they walk out.
Yes.
And exactly, you know, you speak about the business side of it. You know, you can do more showings in a day, and that probably did more to sometimes make better movies. I know Kingdom of Heaven is a movie that the longer version is better, right? So there are longer cuts that are better. But the way James Mangold defended this before it came out, you would have thought that he had something really compelling. But there are critics on here that I really respect that didn't like it. And we've seen so much of it, Nate, that, you know, a lot of this rings true. The good reviews are poor. The shills like Collider, who you've got on the screen there, and Slash Film, they eat it up. But they're access media, right? They want Disney to give them the early shows. They're like a Grace Randolph type of person. And I'm surprised she hasn't gotten a review yet.
I think we'll have a look. I think she might have done.
I think right now she's still on the Little Mermaid campaign. She's really pushing that. If you don't like it, you're an istophobe or something.
With her incredibly racist comparison of interspecies with interracial relationships. I could not fucking believe that.
I can't believe it either. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
God, that is someone with nothing between her noggin. Like, there's nothing there at all. But I mean,
I used to like her. I used to like her. I have to admit, you know, she was sort of my secret, not crush, but sort of a guilty pleasure to watch her, because she has this really neat Jersey, New York accent. And she seemed to like a lot of the same things I did back when the original Marvel movies were coming out, Iron Man and Winter Soldier and stuff like that. Back when it was good, I agreed with her. But boy, she's been on a tear lately, and I just can't agree with anything. She hated Super Mario Brothers, and she loves, well, I don't want to sit and razz on her the whole time.
Yeah. Well, so it's interesting you talk about Collider, right? Because even them as Access Media, even in their B- score, it's shit. It's a vast step up from the muddled mess of Crystal Skull, and while it's not perfect with its uneven storytelling, it's not a bad end for our favorite archaeologist. Oh, it's not a bad end, but it's not perfect, and it's got uneven, muddled storytelling. What? I mean, for goodness sake. Like, even it's not. That's
fresh.
Not B- material, is it?
No, that's fresh. That's fresh now. That's fresh.
Fucking hell. Goodness me. But that's the thing. A lot of people say it's an improvement on Crystal Skull. I mean, Christ.
Oh wait, go down to Lex from Slash Film. That's the one. Whoa, don't pass him up. You just pass Slash Film. Go back to that. Just above.
Oh, this one. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is a bold, bright, and blazingly fun reunion with our favorite hero.
Oh my gosh. What a shit.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Lex needs his Little Mermaid tickets right now.
Oh, goodness me. I just the interesting thing is like, so I still get invites to press screenings and stuff.
Yeah.
And I get them fairly often, and I've interviewed directors and things like that, right? But it never did anything in terms of like whether it would help the channel out or anything like that.
Right.
And I found myself to become very much removed from the general audience at that point as well, because you're not getting a sense of what everyone else feels and the sort of the atmosphere of a general audience. And it really matters when you're going to go watch a movie to be immersed in what the general populace thinks of a movie. It can help your perspective of films, because I think you can become really tunneled in on this stuff. I mean, a lot of these people as well, they do it simply because they want access, but some of them are trapped in that hole. They're trapped. They get invites, they go to them, and they're just around other stuffy ass critics. And so, in the case of Super Mario, for instance, and along with Grace Randolph, she even documented where she went. I was in the basement of an AMC theater, but we did have snacks. And, and she's like, with 30 other critics, and there was only 3 laughing, and they're idiots. It's like, no, Grace, you're the idiot that you weren't laughing, because the general audience, if you were the 30 in a room of 300 and everyone else is laughing, you'd feel like the fucking idiots at that point. That's right. It really matters, because you can get out of this tunnel vision to go, watching a movie just with critics. It's not good. Not good at all.
No, that's a good point too. I think if you are hobnobbing with other critics and sort of behind the scenes, there's a certain closeness that's afforded to you where you're a little more invested in the success of that movie, right? You're an insider, just sort of like you would root for a concert act that you were able to go backstage for and hang out with those people. You know what I mean? Or if you're on the set of a movie, if the movie turns out not to be that good, you may still have a certain affectation for that movie because you were there behind the scenes and you were hopeful at one time that it would do well, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these critics also have a lot of sensibilities where they are all about diversity, inclusion, et cetera, et cetera. And if a movie scratches that itch, they're automatically rooting for it more. So they're going to be a little kinder to it when they critique it.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
That's 100%. A good point. Yeah.
I mean, can you see this film being a success? Because there's no way in hell I can see it being a success. I think
it's going to top out at about 600. I think it'll hit about 600. I think it will be hailed as a nice end for Harrison Ford. And I'm assuming Disney's going to put out a box set of all 5 movies. They have to.
I thought they released something recently, didn't they? Or was that them just streaming it on Disney Plus?
Yeah, well, they're streaming all the original movies. Also, Paramount Plus has all 3 of the original. Actually, maybe all 4. They're both. It's kind of a weird arrangement where they've got both channels, both platforms are streaming all the movies right now.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, the whole streaming industry is in it's kind of a shifting sand situation. I don't think they've been able to make it as profitable as they had hoped. And honestly, I never thought they would.
No, I know. Well, don't want to get too off topic because that's actually
No,
one of
right.
our other things. But
Okay.
I've never said it was the next thing. Everyone banging on about it in COVID and stuff. I was like, mate, don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
They will never earn the money that they do from box office. It will never be a thing.
No.
It will never, ever, ever be a thing. And people are like, you're wrong. I'm not. I'm fucking not. And lo and behold, I was not wrong.
Yeah.
You know, that's not to say streaming doesn't have its place, by the way, guys.
Agreed.
Of course it has its place, but you can't fund billions into streaming and then expect a return because there is no return on that. It's just not possible. But yeah, so just to round up this, I see this losing hundreds of millions of dollars for Lucasfilm. And if this is not the nail in the coffin for Kathleen Kennedy, I think we can safely say she has dirt on someone at that point.
She knows where the bodies are buried. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. How much do you think it's going to earn? How much do you think it's going to gross worldwide?
Well, so this is the interesting thing, right? Because Crystal Skull, because I did a breakdown of this before when they were revealing the numbers. Indiana Jones, Crystal Skull, box office. Because I was amazed. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull did a surprisingly high amount, actually. $790 million. But that's the last entry we've had, and people fucking hated it. So that's important to note. We hadn't had an Indiana Jones movie for a long time.
That's right.
Much like, you know, The Force Awakens or whatever. We hadn't had one for a really long time. They come back with that and you're like, yeah. And then everyone's like, ooh, oh, that's not good. Even South Park parodied it, right?
Yeah.
So
I've never watched it again. I've never watched it again. That's the thing, is these movies are timeless. The original trilogy is timeless. You can watch it.
Put it on whenever.
Kathleen Kennedy can't make anything timeless.
Yeah. So taking that into account and people's disdain for a lot of useless cinema, because I think audiences are much more savvy now. They've become savvier, and you know, they're being very, very selective on where they're spending their money. A lot of the box office receipts show that. It's not like it was 5-10 years ago where box office was booming. It's a completely different landscape. You said 600, didn't you? $600 million.
It's 650 at the top, I think.
Yeah. I don't think it'll break 700 at all. I think it will really struggle to do that. I think 650. I think 650 is probably a good estimate. Yeah,
that means they lost. That means they lost, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Maybe at a push, it will just creep close to the 700, but I can't see it doing very, very well.
Either.
But we will wait to see. But I can't see it doing particularly well at all.
Maybe we'll see it, and maybe we'll love it, Nate. Maybe.
Well, that is the thing, right? Like, you know, because a lot of people are like, well, you know, whenever critics' scores come out, people go, oh, well, normally you say whatever the critics do the opposite, etc. But this is different. They're very mixed, right? They're very, very mixed, and that's you know, we're not saying that the critics are wrong or they're right. It's looking at the general things and what people are saying as bad, and kind of looking at it from that perspective as, oh, well, I can, you know, that negative resonates with me generally as an audience member.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, there's the potential we'll like it. Unlikely though.
No,
from everything I've seen.
Agreed. No, I concur 100%. Yeah, it's very unlikely.
Oh dear. So let's get to some super chats now, ladies and gents, because we had a good amount come through. Again, just if you want to join in the conversation, super chats are the way to do it. If you want to support the channel, super chats are the way to do it. Memberships are there as well. So again, we had T-Neil89, aka Dislikes Puns, who became a member. So thank you so much. We had Tom working for $3, sent in a super sticker. Thank you so much, my man. And T-Neil dropped in with $5 and says, apologies. I actually didn't realize I wasn't a member anymore. Credit card expired. Thank you so much. Appreciate that all the same. No need to apologize at all. It's not a yeah, you don't have to be a member, but I do appreciate the support regardless. Tom working for $5 says Temple of Doom was disliked at the time by my older brothers. I dug it. Yeah, what was the general audience sort of response to Temple of Doom at the time?
Oh, it was very high. It's very high.
Yeah.
Yeah, very high. I think it was just the gruesomeness. People didn't expect it.
Yeah.
The critics, rather.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
And monkey brains and, some of the cuisine.
Yeah.
I think you were right. You mentioned something about the cultural aspects. There may have been some of that too. Yeah.
Yeah. I think because sometimes we look back at films a bit jaded, but I can't imagine that was particularly hated. I mean, that was Harrison Ford at his peak, really, wasn't it? So
total peak. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
1984, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. T. Neal for $10 says the most positive trade reviews can be boiled down to a tepid meh, or the occasional, at least it's not The Room or Plan 9, but even those come off as shill-ish. Not exactly damning with fine praise. Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is what we've been saying, because even the positive ones, as we pointed out, Colliders, for instance, I mean, that's a B-.
Mm-hmm.
And it's saying it's not perfect and it has an uneven storytelling. The most positive thing they say is it's not a bad end for Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not as bad as the last one. That's the best they can do. Yeah.
It's not singing its praises, is it?
No.
No. Like, God damn. And you can tell a lot about the positive ones when they start saying stuff like that. It's just like you're really trying here.
Mm-hmm.
You're really trying to spin it, but also have something to fall back on. When you're questioned or stuff like that, you go, "Well, I did say this." Like, well, you did, but you also gave it B-. Fucking idiot. So
it's a charitably kind bad review.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Al Humphreys, £5 says flea ball bag, Mr. H. Yeah, I said that today in my video. I say a lot of stuff like off the cuff, and that was one of them. It's like, oh yeah, flea ball bag. Yeah, there you go.
That's your next Christmas sweater right there.
Oh God, I had a copyright takedown of my Alien Christmas sweater.
Oh my God, that was awesome! What a great sweater that was! Wow,
I really like that sweater. Yeah, got.
Oh, that's a shame.
Well, I don't know whether it was. I don't know whether it was Disney. I think it was an automated system. They're really particular. I mean, I need to migrate off Spring anyway, Teespring, and do it all in house. But it's such a pain in the ass. But I don't promote merch anymore because I don't make any money, and it's so expensive for you guys. I just simply don't promote it. I'm figuring out a way to get it pressed in house, and then sort of shipped off that way. Before I start promoting it again, because like Teespring's ridiculously expensive.
That one was hilarious. I thought it was clever, hilarious, and I was looking for an ugly Christmas sweater, and
it's a good one. I really like that one. I thought it was cool. Tom working for £5 says this guy is on my page. Has to have some. The mind does go wild with the possibilities. Why is KK still around? Epstein Black Book mode.
Ooh.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Like, it's questionable how someone can consistently fail and also do it so publicly, right? Because it's not exactly like it's behind closed doors. The amount of stuff that they announce that they don't make, the amount of creative differences that happen, the amount of people that get fired. I mean, she's facing a lawsuit from the Acolyte producer. It's an epic shit show of monumental proportions, and yet she still has a job. And you're like, well, how the fuck? How? And then Ike Perlmutter got fired.
Right. Unbelievable. Now, Nate, you mentioned the Acolyte, and Leslie Headland used to work for Weinstein. And I wonder if she was his assistant. Maybe she knows a few names that went to Epstein Island and gave them to Kathleen. Who knows?
Yeah,
just speculating, not impugning anybody, just having fun.
D for 20 Australian dollar dues says they killed James Bond. R.I.P. 007. We'll never watch a James Bond movie again. Cannot even watch the old ones now. Ah, really?
No.
I still like a good GoldenEye. Love a GoldenEye.
Oh,
Love
what a
it.
great. That's the best. I like,
Yeah.
there's a few movies from all the actors I like. I
Yes.
recently, about 5 years ago, got around to watching On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And because I
Yeah,
always
yeah.
sort of avoided it because I was a Sean Connery and Roger Moore fan. I
Mm.
loved it. Absolutely loved it. And saw, speaking of another Aussie, I saw a documentary where he was talking about how he got the role. I wish I could remember the name of that documentary, but it's fantastic. It's
Yeah,
fantastic. I
yeah.
recommend it if you're a Bond fan.
Well, if you could figure out the name, we could recommend
I
it.
will. I absolutely will. Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Oh dear. Yeah, I mean that whole James Bond situation, that whole film was just a monumental waste of time. And now I think who they got as their front runner, it was Aaron Taylor Johnson, who if it wasn't the Broccolis working on it, I would be somewhat excited because I quite like Aaron Taylor Johnson and he proved himself to be of that ilk in Bullet Train. I thought that was a good audition for a sort of a James Bond-esque role. So he did really well in that.
That documentary is called Becoming Bond.
There you go.
Becoming Bond. It
Becoming
came out in
Bond.
2017. It's on Hulu right now. So
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
yeah,
Oh.
it's
Well,
very good. Yeah, it's very good.
What do you think to Aaron Taylor Johnson as the next Bond?
I'm still kind of hoping that somebody gives Henry Cavill a shot at it. I think he could do it. That scene in the bathroom fight. I can't remember which Mission Impossible it was, but man, what a beast! And I think
have
he
you
could
seen
do it.
him? Have you seen him in Man from Uncle?
Yeah, I like that. What did you
Is
think?
Man from Uncle was great.
Yeah,
Man from Uncle is a brilliant film. That's his audition for Bond right there.
agreed.
That was absolutely brilliant.
Agreed.
So good. So got a few more super chats to get to, guys. So again, if you want to join in, support super chats. Faris Nagatome, I'm butchering that, so I am sorry. For $5 says at least Killers of the Flower Moon will be excellent. Cheers, bros. Killers of the that rings a bell. Why does that ring a bell? Is that my brain not working? I'm dieting hard at the moment. Killers of the Flower Moon. Is that like? I don't know.
That's the next. Oh gosh, I saw that today too. That's
Martin Scorsese film.
Yeah. With DiCaprio.
Yeah. Oh, Well, Scorsese always.
Yeah, he's pretty reliable.
Always delivers.
Agreed. Yeah, very reliable.
Yeah.
I think it's good to look forward to stuff that you are excited about. I think I get accused a lot of times of ragging on a material that's coming out, but it's because I want it to be good and I know it sucks, right? Yeah. So I wanted the last James Bond movie to be great. I wanted the last Harrison Ford Indiana Jones movie to be great, but we have to talk about it.
Like you can't.
That's right.
This is the thing, is it? Like there's, so I try to remain as optimistic as possible.
Yes.
Until it's very blatant that it's going to be absolute trash. Then I'm just like, for fuck's sake, like my optimism dashed, whatever. I don't know.
And your followers are your friends. You want to tell your friends, hey, this is going to suck. Don't waste your time or your money. It just encourages them.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I know, but I'm as honest as they come as well. Like,
That's true.
Yeah,
what about Luke Evans? Now, didn't Luke Evans say he wanted a shot at playing James Bond, but he wanted to play him gay?
Isn't he really short? Luke Evans is really.
I think
really
he is.
Short, isn't he?
He is, but he's been mentioned in the running. So
I think he's too old now for what age range they're going for. And the thing is, if you're going to say, well, he's not too old, then Henry Cavill's definitely not too old. And so why would you choose Luke Evans over Henry Cavill, for instance? So it becomes one of those kind of conversations where you're like, well, that decision wouldn't make, especially when it's like we're going for the best person for the role. At that point, you'd be like, well, obviously it'd be this guy, obviously it'd be Henry Cavill.
I'll be okay if it's not Latasha Lynch. And they're going to do like a reboot or something. I don't know.
God, that was a nightmare. She's insufferable.
And charmless and insufferable, like Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Yeah, 100%. T Neil for $5 says maybe it's just me, but that meandering preamble Grandalf gave for Mario came off more like she was just poorly lying about seeing the movie. Yeah, a lot of people did think that because there was lots of weird things that she brought up as issues about Super Mario that weren't issues. She was like, how were we supposed to know it's the Mushroom Kingdom? Because when he lands, Toad calls it the Mushroom Kingdom several times. Dipshit. Like, obviously. Like, of course. So yeah, I agree. It could have been a lie that she saw it, because some of it was just very bizarre stuff that she was saying. But with someone clearly as dense as that, who knows, right? This is someone that chose to switch off and not finish the last Rambo movie because she thought it was offensive to Mexicans because they showed the cartel. Well, newsflash, dipshit, the cartel do exist and they're in Mexico.
It's a real problem. Yeah, it's a real problem.
Like, so to say, just switch
that's
off
what they look
like.
I mean, good God, it's
mate. Honestly,
you couldn't do Death Wish today because they tried, but Bruce Willis, gun violence, and everyone would have to be old white men that you're killing. It's ridiculous. I know the wokeism has really ruined Hollywood.
Well, it's just creative bankruptcy. It's just ruined all form of art, basically. All artistry's just gone down the pan now. And I say here, like, there's nothing wrong. So the problem with everything that they've done is everything is uniform, everything is homogenous. So we have to have this, we have to have this included, we have to have this included. So in the effort to push diversity and inclusion, everything is now homogenous. Like everything, nothing is diverse in terms of its programming content. Whereas what you should do, rather than having diversity within each show, which creates a homogenous show, you should have diversity through programming. So give me a story about an African legend set in Africa, full of Africans, right?
Yep.
There you go. That's as diverse as you could possibly get in terms of from a programming perspective. And I'd love that. I'd love to learn more about these little known African legends that people don't hear about. I would genuinely find that enthralling. And you'd highlight actors from that region, part of the world that Hollywood doesn't have access to, generally speaking. That would be a great way, for stories to come out, for diversity to come out, for actors to be pushed. That'd be brilliant. I'd really enjoy that and do it all across the world. But no, we don't. We just get fucking Black Vikings because Black Vikings, I guess.
Well, they did the Woman King,
ridiculous,
right? So the Woman King came out, and I never saw it. I understood it was a decent movie, but it was a lot of revisionist history. But viewers were shamed in the marketing. Like, if you don't watch this, you're a racist. And I'm not going to be told that I'm anything because I'm not interested in your movie. That's ridiculous.
It's just absolute nonsense. I've got an update on Nick. He's almost done with his work crap. He'll be here in about 10 minutes tops. So Nick from Echo Base Network will be joining us.
You said work crap, right?
That's what he said, not me.
Okay.
That's what he said.
So he's working on his fridge, not the bathroom, just so everyone knows.
Yeah. No, that's Culture. Culture's working on his fridge.
Okay.
Nick,
gotcha. Right.
Nick's apparently just working on crap in general. So we've got two more super chats to get to, then we'll move on to our next topic. So Gary for £5 says, Kathleen is like, remember when you put your hand on my rear, now you can't fire me. Yeah, it is that, like, I've got dirt on someone. Like, there's something going on there. Yeah. And I'm not trying to build like, tinfoil hat. How can someone lose a company so much money and not get fired is beyond me. It's always I just don't understand it. Because it's not a small amount of money. I mean, they've had to cancel Willow, right? They cancelled Willow after one season. It was left on a cliffhanger. It was due to have another season. It was planned to have another season. And then they've cancelled it. I mean, it's one of the first Disney Plus shows which was slated to have another season that they've canned. I mean, that's a Lucasfilm project, and no one watched it. It's just crap. No one bothered. Right? That would have lost them money in terms of, where they're sort of separating their viewership to watch ratio and income, sparsing it out, that sort of thing.
Right.
Star Wars massively on a decline. You got brand damage with Star Wars. I mean, what else does Lucasfilm have? Nothing. Indiana Jones. Well, that's going to be a bomb. So what else do they actually have as properties that she's controlling? Not exactly a lot.
No. There's hardly anything left.
And nothing which they're releasing to the wider public. Remember?
Well, they've already played all their big cards. They've shot their wad, really.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they're going to right the ship, particularly if Kathleen has this sort of power to be able to do failure after failure after failure and still be in charge. I don't understand it. I don't know what's going on at Disney. The Galactic
Galactic Star Cruiser. Oh my God!
That down. They're doing layoffs by the thousands. There are a bunch more layoffs this week. So I don't know how they're going to survive, but they're going to continue to do what they're doing. They're not going to pull a Budweiser. I mean, they're going to keep going forward with their agenda. There's no doubt.
Yeah. Well, joining us is Nick. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's going on? Just got finished up with work crap and got to jump in here. This last 2 weeks has been crazy. We got tons of freaking projects going on. So
yeah. Awesome. Well, this is just to introduce you. This is Chris from Bleeding Fool.
How's it going, Nick? Chris?
Good
to meet you.
To see you. Thank you very much. Glad you're here.
So yeah, glad you're here. Finally, I thought you had such a long chill stream. You passed out. I thought
no. Tuesdays I got my work meetings start right when this happens, which they normally last 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Yeah. And then if there's anything going on, I gotta take care of that. So Tuesdays are kind of rough for me, especially this time of year during the spring after we've got all our budget crap and they've started doing projects for the year, and so.
Fun times. Fun times.
During the fall, like our Tuesday meetings last 10 minutes, and there's literally nothing for me to do. So
Jesus.
So once I get past this part, my Tuesdays will probably be a little easier.
Awesome. So we got a few more super chats that just dropped in. Black Saber for $2 says Temple was an expensive way to get Spielberg a wife. Love it. T-Nail for $10 says, I'd sooner trust an ethics committee endorsed by the Waffen SS than I would the chuckle fucks at Lucasfilm to perform with any degree of competency. Yes. I can't say anything aside from yes. I endorse that message. I agree.
I'm going to pretend I don't know what he meant.
Tom $2 says brand damage. Well, that's Kathleen Kennedy all over. Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy, brand damage. I mean, yeah, not good. So we've talked about Indiana Jones at this point, Nick.
Okay. I haven't been keeping up. I've been so busy. I don't know what's going on out there. Was it anything new that's come up, or just talking about the bad critic reviews?
Yeah, just the bad critic reviews, man. Yeah. Just embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing.
Which is actually kind of surprising because the wokesters normally will give high praise to films like that if that's what the film is. So the fact that the critic scores are not good starting off is not looking good for this movie at all.
Yeah.
Because no one else is expecting it to be any good.
Yeah. Oh, just real quick as well. I missed Al Humphrey's membership milestone. Sorry, buddy. I've got Olaf doing that, and he's chucking them in on Twitter. So thanks for reminding me there. Olaf as well as Al making me check Twitter. So Al's milestone membership question is KK must be costing Disney hundreds of millions of dollars. How does it make sense to keep her on? Oh no! Apparently you wanted to ask
video
about Ray
on
Stevens. I'm very confused.
Dirt on somebody, or
that's what that's the only thing that makes sense, Nick.
Yeah,
make it make sense. Why is she still there? And
she should have been gone a long time ago.
Yeah.
Apparently, wanted to ask something about Ray Stevenson.
Oh yeah. I heard him pass away.
That was a real shame, actually, because I mean, his latest role is in Ahsoka, isn't it?
Yeah,
and he looks great in that.
Yeah, and we just saw him on the red carpet at Celebration. And
does anyone know how he died? What he died
no.
of? Like,
I haven't heard it.
Like days before his 59th birthday, wasn't it? I mean, that's young.
Yeah.
Super, super young. Shame.
Yeah.
Real shame. Great actor as well. Really good actor. Someone who, unfortunately, I think didn't get the recognition he deserved,
Agreed.
Like he should have been in many, many, many more things. He's a great actor.
Do you think Ahsoka is going to be any good?
So for me, I feel nothing watching that trailer, and I feel nothing mainly because I'm sick of seeing Ahsoka. Like I don't have the affinity for Ahsoka as everyone else does.
Right.
You know, they've seen her in Clone Wars or whatever it is. I don't know. I just see her being inserted into everything. So I'm like, fuck off. Like I don't care. Go away. Not interested in this person. So the thing is, right? It's got all the elements of a good show, right? Like the cinematography's good, and like it all looks like it could be really good, but it also feels very empty and hollow, and that's what I feel for Star Wars in general these days. I mean, Nick, you're a Star Wars aficionado. What do you think? And we got culture here as well now.
So, Ahsoka, I think it's the best looking upcoming Disney project, and I think it'll probably be possibly the most least offensive. Like if they screw it up, it's not gonna probably make people like freaking riot over it. But out of all the projects, I got probably the most hope for the Ahsoka one.
Wow.
But the fact that they, if they're moving to this Heir to the Empire thing, and they're basically replacing Luke, Leia, Han with all the Rebels characters and that sort of thing, then it's people are going to be infuriated, and I'll probably be one of those people. So I don't know. Well, I'm just waiting for it to come out. I am looking forward to actually reviewing it because whether it's good or bad, I'm gonna have fun with my reviews on it. Either I'm gonna be super excited for the episodes, or it's gonna be so bad I'm gonna have fun freaking trashing all over it.
When does it release?
August. I think
August.
I think it's the 14th.
What is it, like a Wednesday release like all the others, or have they not said yet?
Nick, I'd love to know your favorite Disney Star Wars
31st.
series.
First 2 seasons of Mandalorian.
Okay.
Are and the thing is, I had issues with a lot of those episodes as well, but overall, I thought the show was pretty decent. I liked it for the most part, even though I did have issues with a lot of the different episodes. Absolutely loved the Luke return in the end of season 2. Absolutely loved it. Yeah. And the thing is, after that dropped, I when we were reviewing it for our channel, I literally said this feels more like a series finale more than a season finale. And if they would have just ended there, and because I'll never watch season 3 of Mandalorian ever again, it was total crap. And
I tapped out with Lizzo. That was it.
And the thing is, Book of Boba Fett too kind of ruined that last scene in Mando season 2. So for me, out of the Disney Star Wars, the only ones that are canon in my book is Rogue One in the 2 seasons of Mando.
You mean Andor?
No. Rogue One, the movie. And then the first 2 seasons of Mando.
Did you watch Andor? Did you like that?
I watched Andor.
I liked Andor.
And
I'll be the Andor defender here. I liked Andor.
And
it was good.
I didn't hate Andor. It just didn't feel like Star Wars to me. It felt too serious.
That's what I liked. That's why I liked it.
It felt
like Star Wars.
Like it was missing the fun fantasy element, of Star Wars. The lightheartedness.
I get that, but I don't think they all need to be that way, right? I think they could have explored maybe a horror aspect of Star Wars. They could have had like a mystery crime sort of solve this mystery type thing. I think they could have branched out a little bit, and they've really sort of kept. It's almost like every series they do makes the universe seem smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
Oh, there's 3PO over there. I guess it's not a huge galaxy,
right?
I don't know. Now I think as far as Ahsoka goes, it's Dave Filoni's baby, and I think he'll probably do his best. But I'm like Nate. I have no. attachment to the character. I will say that I did enjoy the Rebels animated series a lot. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah.
And she was in that a couple of times, but I have no attachment to the character. I couldn't care less. I like Rosario Dawson, okay, but it'll be fine, I'm sure.
And the thing is, Coach has said this several times on our channel is Dave Filoni's head is on the chopping block with this Ahsoka show because this is his show. Like he had parts and played roles in the first 3 seasons of Mando and all that, and some Bad Batch and a lot of these other shows. This is his sole show right here, this Ahsoka show. And you know, he's got that nickname, you know, phony baloney and all that. So a lot of people are not big fans of his. So if he screws this up, man, dunzos for him.
Do you think he goes to sleep with that cowboy hat on?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I can imagine that.
Hey, Culture, good to meet you. Glad you're here.
Yeah, on screen, we're in a couple groups together, but yeah, I've always appreciated your work, and I want to say this.
Yeah, we are. That's great. Yeah.
No, Filoni is probably goes to bed with a hat, but he also probably goes to bed with a full size love doll of Ahsoka.
That's what I was saying.
There is nothing good with Disney Star Wars. I can't agree on Rogue One. I always think that's fool's gold when it comes to that. Plus, the story doesn't line up the way it's supposed to. I was bitterly disappointed with everything Disney did across the board. That first Force Awakens film, again, another part fool's gold because it got you for a couple of days.
Yeah,
and your brain started to spin, and then you're like, wait a minute, not only does this feel familiar, this is A New Hope all over again, done in a far inferior way, pushing forward a female character, she's just good at everything right away. And there was too much Mary Sue, there was too much, and again, I mean, we'd already started to see that creep into other areas of filmmaking and entertainment. So it wasn't like but it did take me a minute. And then by the time we made it to the second film, I was done. But look, Rogue One, a lot of people give that a lot of praise. I can't agree. Solo was hysterically bad.
Listen, there is a fan edit called Rogue One, The Battle of Scarif. It's like 50 minutes long.
Really?
And it's basically just that main battle. And anytime I kind of want to go back to Rogue One, I just watch that. The Battle of Scarif. It's pretty good. That's the second time I'm mentioning fan edits, but it's good.
And that's
because there was enough in there that you go, okay, this is kind of neat.
And that's
I love the ending of that.
That's where we're at, right, Chris? I mean, we're at this point where the fans do a better version of what the studios put out, like with very minimal effort. They even can connect things together better in a quality edit, and it's very disappointing. But regardless, returning to the Ahsoka, which is the comments we're supposed to be making right now. I don't have faith in this. I haven't had faith in it since they introduced Ahsoka in, the Mando show, and it's not because Rosario Dawson is doing a poor job portraying the character, because she's great. It's not even because they got the aesthetic wrong, which they sort of did, but it's that it tonally, this is the culmination of every wet dream that Filoni's ever had. And none of them have been particularly satisfying for the audience. So I think that he's going to be overly indulgent. I think it's going to plod along. I think this is going to be so Mary Sue and over the top that it, much like the third season of Mando, half the audience is going to check out about halfway through. You think I'm wrong?
No. I would agree. Let's we've got to shuffle on to our next topic now, I'm afraid, guys.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all
I agree
good.
with you, Culture.
Oh, thank you.
It is all good. Our next topic is still Disney, but it is, of course, The Little Mermaid. So The Little Mermaid, predictably, is being reviewed very, very highly. 71% on the tomato meter. But again, much like Indiana Jones, although they're more blatant about the Indiana Jones stuff, when you dive into the reviews, they're not great. You know, they're not great. The reviews are not epic. They're not awe-inspiring. So, you know, yeah, again, while The Little Mermaid is not the first live-action Disney movie ever to be put on the big screen, it's definitely the best one yet. Press X to doubt. Flipping its fins doesn't get The Little Mermaid too far, but it's one of the least surface-level Disney live-action remakes in a while. And there's a recurring theme which we've covered before, which is Halle Bailey was born to play Ariel. She is Ariel. It's like, for goodness sake. Just ridiculous. I mean, even this, like this, for instance, you know, Disney's live action movies try to be more and more realistic while using and abusing digital effects, and they end up being more artificial than their animated counterparts. That's fresh.
Yeah,
that's a 2.5.
Boy, right? That's 50%. We give it a 50%. Fresh. At least Alan is honest from Film Threat, one of the last few honest reviewers, right?
Yeah, this film didn't need to exist. I mean, it's just
and you know,
some of it is just ridiculous.
And he's so articulate, you know, and you know, it's funny that you get one line out of him for that. It's like,
right. I'm sure there's more.
This film did not need to exist.
But I'm just like, and normally you get a paragraph from all these these cock gobbling shills, and he's like one line.
I think it would be interesting to go behind the scenes at Rotten Tomatoes and find out how they decide what pull quotes for each of these reviews, which ones to include, and which ones they decide to hide and take off. Nate was mentioning earlier they did the same thing to that Peter Pan and Wendy.
They literally just binned off a whole bunch of audience. It was crazy.
Yeah,
absolutely crazy.
And
I mean, this. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, I was going to suggest maybe they ask you what part you want your pull quote to come from when you submit.
Okay,
that's true.
Yeah,
that's a very hopeful suggestion.
Well, I know it's probably not true. If I were setting up something like this, that's how I would do it. But hey,
I don't know anybody that's seen that Peter Pan and Wendy show.
Yeah,
Have you seen it, Culture?
It was god awful, soulless, colorless, and lacking imagination everywhere.
But it was diverse. I heard it was very diverse and inclusive.
Well, you know, that's the metric to go by these days.
If you want an Oscar, it is.
Speaking of diverse, I watched the behind the curtain on Fast and the Furious last night.
Oh yeah,
and I didn't realize that the director really put that cast together to make it a diverse cast. He's all into that. But watching the movie. But watching the movie, I never felt that it was like forced in my face. You know,
no, it was everything. Everything in the first several films were organically created.
Yeah,
so
they're always diverse.
Right. But it was organically created. It wasn't in effort to do that. You know what I mean? They were trying to bring all these different worlds together that would literally be representative in the car world.
Sure.
If you're into cars. Yeah. I mean, you go to any car show, you should know this, Nate. You go to it's like a smattering.
I do know this. Why are you shouting at me?
Oh well, no. I'm just saying that it was organically created. It wasn't out of a force, which is why it feels that way, Nick. Why it feels natural, and it doesn't.
Yeah, when I was hearing the director talk about it, I was just like, "Oh my god, he sounds like a total wokester."
Well, hey, keep in mind, Nick, that might be revisionist, right? It could have been they cast all these people, and now that inclusion and diversity and representation is such a big thing in Hollywood, he's going, "Oh yeah, that's why we did this.
Yeah,
that's why we. Oh yeah, don't you love it even more now?"
Yeah, virtue signal. Hey, look at me.
Perhaps.
So getting back to some of these reviews, less heartfelt, funny, enchanting, and exhilarating than the beloved animated classic. Why fix it if it ain't broken?
Thank you, Avi.
Yeah,
wow.
This is an interesting one. They're like, ready, steady, cut. Hold a grudge that classics should never be remade. I'm on that team. But you cannot argue the entertainment was delivered well enough here for its target audience.
Okay, who's the audience, M.N. Miller? You've discovered something. Who the audience is? Because all of us here can ask the same question. Who is this for? Who?
Yeah. I was told it's not for me.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not for me either.
even this. I mean, I'm picking out the positive ones, guys.
I know.
That's good.
Even this one. That's a lot to digest, and some viewers, like the kids at their meal times, will simply refuse to swallow it.
That's a
Positive review.
That's
Wow.
positive.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
While
mean-
read that one there, the effects feel shallow.
That's great.
Oh,
Good.
where's that? I
Good.
The top right there, Jay Dunn from Below the Line.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, the effects felt a bit shallow. I mean, there was a review before where they commented on the water effects, and I'm like, it's a mermaid film. If your underwater effects aren't good, you're really screwed at that point.
But they aren't.
It is. No, I know, but that's what I mean. Like you're screwed. Like
Yeah.
it's an underwater film. What are you doing?
The effects felt a bit shallow. First of all, well written, because that to me is, you're it's a play on the water.
I love a pun.
Yeah, but see, and then he follows that up with Aquafina, which is water.
Right.
It's alone. It's well done.
Yeah.
Sorry, just a clever bit of writing. But the Aquafina certainly doesn't contribute to A Timeless Tale. If you've heard that rap, just that segment alone, that's like, literally pouring like acid in your ears. It's terrible.
Yeah.
The remake's main sin is that it's visually confusing, if not altogether aesthetically unappealing.
That's from Vox. Holy
Yeah,
Wow.
mate. Honestly,
Oh man, Movie Web just you can always count on them to coddle your balls.
some of this stuff, some of the positives are as bad as the negatives.
It's like
Really
backhanded fresh reviews.
Oh, what's funny is if you take the main critic audience, the all critics thing, and you dive down into the top critics, this score plummets. It just falls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know how to do that. How do you do that?
like that.
Top
There you go.
critics. Wait.
There it is.
Wow.
There it is.
Like this movie,
45.
bigot. That's right.
That's right.
Jesus.
Smells fishy. Something smells fishy.
That's so
Top
bad.
critics. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the audience score is going to be through the roof. There will be
Oh.
at least 5,000 5-star reviews.
Yeah, bots, baby. It's going to be like the
Yeah.
bot fest. Nobody's like I actually registered to be a critic on here, so you might actually see my
Oh,
picture. on
okay.
there someday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
but I've never been able to bring myself to purchase something through Fandango. So
Mm.
yeah, so we'll see. But
I have their app.
oh man, and again, they're owned by Fandango, and this is all they're all in
Sure.
bed with each other. It's just bad. It's funny though. The AP, which I didn't expect, did quite a negative review, and so did UPI. So, it's very
I
strange.
just look at this stuff's awful.
Well, because I think
we-
objectively, it's probably not a very good film.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I think you're right.
And this is a holiday weekend, so if it bombs at the box office this weekend,
It's the biggest holiday weekend. This used to be the open of the summer film season, right?
Yeah.
This is when you held your tent pole. This film is not by anybody's imagination a tent pole. And if they think it's going to make $90 million,
Oh, it's opening this weekend. I did not realize that.
Yeah. I remember I said that I wasn't going to go see it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not going to go see it. I
Yeah.
Oh,
can't.
that's fine. Yeah.
These reviews didn't change your mind, Culture.
No, it didn't. It really didn't.
so Coach's wife and kids are going to go see it, and they already told him that he's not allowed to come with them to go see it because they know he's just going to be trashing it in the theater while it's playing.
you know what is out on the same day?
What?
Sisu.
Oh,
I'm gonna go watch that instead.
Wow, good choice.
I'm actually going to watch that as well. I did watch.
That's epic.
So I did watch Guy Ritchie's The Covenant
Oh yeah.
this last
Yeah.
weekend.
Ooh, how
and
was it?
I loved it. Great story. Great story. I highly recommend anybody go watch that film. And then I watched Air with
Oh,
I've heard good things about that.
with
And Matt and,
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and that was awesome as well.
Yeah. They've been shooting themselves in
two
foot 'cause
great
they've been
films.
releasing it. They released it on Prime as well, didn't they?
Yeah. Yep.
Weird.
Well, they
weird.
probably thought their name recognition would put butts in seats, but
That's true.
Well, I think you're going to see that more and more from Prime and Amazon. Amazon's leading into theatrical releases. I think they're going to continue to do that with the repurposed Agatha Christie thing that talentless director's been doing, the Green Onion or Red Onion or Onion Butt Plug. What the hell are those called?
I think that last one was it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, sorry, I'm not a big fan of Ruined Johnson.
I kind of liked his first movie there with Daniel Craig. It was a little bit of fun at the theater, but I think that's his wheelhouse. I mean, but when you really break it down and leave the theater and think about the mystery, it's pretty thin.
Yeah, and it was almost nonsensical at points in time. So,
did you watch his Poker Face series? That
no,
it's actually pretty enjoyable. I
heard good things about it.
I've heard that, so I mean, it might be worth it. I mean, I oftentimes will find joy in something that somebody produces that I don't have an affinity for or like. So I'll give that a shot. Poker Face.
Yeah, I think it's 10 episodes or maybe 8. I mean, it's worth a watch. Some episodes obviously are better than others, and he didn't direct them all. And as a matter of fact, tellingly, I'm not sure why, I don't think his name appears in the credits of the first episode, because I was looking for it. I knew he was the guy that created it and wrote and directed a few episodes. It does appear in later episodes, but I mean, it's worth a shot if you're looking for some new content.
Oh yeah, indeed. Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to review something that actually has a chance of being good. So
yeah, you might like it. I'd like to hear about it.
Yeah, you bet. And yeah, go ahead. Sorry,
we've got some super chats to get to, guys. So we just got it's all good. We just got to get to these super chats, guys. Apologies before my back decides to give out. We're on a ticking time bomb here on this channel, on this podcast. Larry Quadowitz for $5 says R.I.P. Ray Stevenson. He was incredible as Titus Pullo, the Punisher, and was also great on Dexter Too Young. And again, he from all of the things in the trailer to Ahsoka, he looks to be the most compelling part of it. His character, he has always had a lot of screen presence. So yeah, R.I.P. I never do videos on people that die. I find it incredibly bad taste. You guys want to, anyone else wants to fill your boots, whatever, I don't care. To me, I never do it. I don't want to profit, whether it's monetization or viewers, subscribers, etc. Sure. It's not something I do. T-Neil89 for $5 says, you forgot KK subtitle meant to be appended with the phrase, and the most disappointing daughter in the history of children. Not that I'm bitter. Okay. That's fine. Tom Worker for $2 says, Ahsoka won't be good. If anything, KK dips its hand. Yeah. Gary for £5 says, have you seen the Skull Island trailer and the Shiro's trailer? God give me strength. So Skull Island I actually haven't seen.
I haven't seen
and I can't do a review of it because it's Netflix. So they copyright claim. Yeah. So they copyright claim, not strike, but they copyright claim, and then they block the video. And by the time they release the video, it's done. So there's no point doing it. So you'll never see me do anything for Netflix anymore, I'm afraid, guys. But I haven't actually had a chance to watch it because I was setting this up, and then and that's kind of roughly about the time it was starting.
Yeah, I don't think it's out yet. It's just a teaser drop today.
Yeah. But I will say I looked at there's like a screen grab that I looked. The animation looks fucking horrendous.
Yeah,
like, that looks real bad. Netflix. That looks super cheap animation. Yeah, and I'm really disappointed by that because Legendary are behind it, and Legendary are normally pretty good. So from what I've seen, just a screen grab, not impressed, but whatever, I guess. Night King says, R.I.P. to the man Ray Stevenson. Him and Kevin McKidd in Rome were two of my favorite protagonists in any TV show.
Great show. They ended it way too early.
Yeah.
They do that with a lot of shows these days. I don't know if it's a budget issue or something.
And then they let other shit continue. God, we got
Velma.
Four freaking seasons of Westworld, and it sucked starting at season
season 2. I like season 1, and that was it.
That was it.
Stopped. Yeah.
T-Neil89 says, post facto virtue signal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Worker for $2 says, who's this for? Great question. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
And Black Saber for $2 says, if only they still tested underwater.
Oh, that's cruel. That's cruel.
Oh dear, love it.
Did you notice that China? It's said that the movie is not selling tickets in China.
Yeah, and then they've lightened up the poster to make it look more
we've
white.
got a story on Bleeding Fool in the morning about that. They do that they did that to Dune Part 1. They took all the black people off the poster.
I mean, they did it with
the
Force Awakens as well. They removed.
But I don't think they're going to be able to lean on poor China sales to excuse how bad I think this movie's going to do.
No. But you heard what those pre-sales numbers were for the first 3 days, right?
It's awful. Yeah.
$13,000.
Yeah, I was going to say less than $20,000.
Wow.
It's awful.
That's
Well,
super
at the end of the day,
Did
I
you see
saw
the
an
Chinese
interview.
poster for it?
Yeah, she looks blue, which is fine. It was good. It's actually kind of a cool poster, I thought.
Well, it's aping the IMAX poster here in the States.
Yeah, that's right. I noticed that too. I think that they really put this actress in a very difficult position, right? I mean, I'm sure she's a perfectly good singer.
So they do this, companies do this, and they did Amazon did exactly the same with all the black people that were in the Rings of Power. They wheel them out and they go, oh, hold on a minute, you're a racist. Here's our black person shield. Like, oh my God. You're literally
I
like
agree.
it's
This
real
was
bad.
ill-conceived. This was just ill-conceived. I saw a video, I know we've all seen it by now, of a young black girl that was very familiar. I mean, there's at least 4 Ariel cartoon videotapes, movies, whatever, sequels, a prequel movie that these kids have grown up with. And so they know what Ariel looks like, right? And they didn't introduce this organically at all. This is Ariel now. And if you don't like it, you're an istophobe or whatever. And this little girl was like, why did they make Ariel? Ariel's not black, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, we get it. We totally get it. But we're not allowed to say anything. Otherwise, we're going to be labeled as istophobes and the movie's not for me. Well, if that's how it is, if you can't even notice the obvious that the character that you're supposed to be doing a live action version of doesn't look like the character from the animated movie, there's going to be problems. And Disney must have known. There's no way they're that ignorant. I mean, Disney has a history of doing excellence and legacy stuff right. And for somehow they just didn't get this right at all. They've been on a bad streak of live action movies. Of course, they tried to do Pinocchio right, and then the Blue Fairy came out and looked like nightmare fuel. I don't know what they're trying to do over there.
Well, it's not even that. You also had Del Toro's fantastic.
Oh, that's true.
That's
worth a watch.
I mean, that just absolutely obliterated them. So.
Didn't they come out within 2 weeks of each other? I mean, they were like right on top.
Yeah, it was within the same month, I think. Yeah,
that's crazy.
And Del Toro won the Oscar for it, didn't he? I think
that's right.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is so I got some great art that came out of the live action Dumbo thing, but that was a colossal flop. People are always like, well, they make tons of money. I'm like, no. They don't. They cost a lot of money, and if they miss one, they're in trouble. And Disney's missed how many films in a row? And I'm not even just talking about the one. I'm just saying, all their brands are just flopping left and right.
It's brand damage, like one of your members said, Nate.
Yes. Well, let's shuffle on now to another topic, which is not Disney for a change. It is streaming related, and it's Warner Brothers Discovery. Setting for more TV layoffs this summer. So this is interesting for a few reasons. I mean, it goes to show quite a lot of elements of streaming just on a general decline. We've known this for a while, TV, etc. So Warner Brothers Discovery is set to undergo another round of layoffs in its television business. Deadline understands that the company is expected to cut some roles in its cable TV business, which includes the Discovery branded cable networks. It's been described as pockets of refinement rather than wholesale cuts. And sources have told Deadline that cable staffers have been bracing themselves over the last couple of weeks. The timing is yet to be confirmed. The sources originally told Deadline that the cuts were expected over the next few weeks, but it's more likely later this summer. So Warner Brothers Discovery operates cable networks, including Discovery Channel, TLC, Investigation, Discovery, Science Channel, and Animal Planet, as well as the former Scripps network, such as Food Network and HGTV. It also operates the former Turner branded networks, such as TNT, TBS, and True TV. I wouldn't know half of this stuff without reading this article. Seriously.
I love HGTV.
Your guys' stuff in the States is just madness to me. It's crazy. Now, the division is run by Chairman and Chief Content Officer, US Networks Group, Kathleen Finch. In February, at a deadline-moderated keynote at the Real Screen Conference in Austin, Texas, Finch was candid about the challenges of merging the business, which she called tough. Now, this is interesting. When you go through a merger, you do sort of figure out how many layers we need. How much staff do we need? I'm not really running these networks as 30 individual teams. They're clustered together. They're put together with leaders at the top who really live and breathe that content. That's not to say that the people that we lost aren't amazing people. They are. We just have had to have a restructure that has less people doing the jobs. What do we make of this? What do we make of this? I mean, this is just streaming on a whole. TV. I mean, TV in general has been on the decline because of, on-demand streaming as well. And this is just, to me, is just a symptom of both things not being.
There's no money to make in streaming. Streaming's not going to be profitable. I mean, it's the bottom line. There's no way to make it profitable. Not with this many different offerings. Well, maybe you remember when it was cable television and you would say, why am I paying this for 75 channels?
Yeah.
And 70 of them I don't watch, right?
Yeah.
I think someone's going to have to say, these are channels. Here's the 6 that you have, and you're not paying $75 for it. But now to have 5 of these platforms, that's about what you're paying.
Well, and you're 100% right, Chris. But the biggest problem was they leaned into this concept of they were all going to maintain their own walled gardens. Right. And the only reason that streaming was working is because you were limited in the number of streamers, and they were renting all of your content and paying you handsomely for it.
Yeah.
And, again, this comes out of the Jim Collins book, How the Mighty Fall. And you look at the stages of decline. And in those 5 stages, I mean, one of them is, you pursue and profit, in a completely misguided way. I'm paraphrasing, but that's probably, those steps are just well reflected in what we're seeing in these corporations right now. And unfortunately, they're paired or tied with agenda-driven stuff like ESG and DEI and the CEI thing that comes out of the Human Rights Campaign, and you end up with this stuff. So I think, stage 2 of the 5 stages is undisciplined pursuit of more. I wanted to make sure I got that right. So, and that's, like I said, this is how we ended up where we are. They all saw Netflix was making money. They saw they were on the verge of, if not already, making a profit. And so they all jumped in feet first, and what's funny is, and I think is criminal, is that Bob Iger was on the board of not just Disney as chairman, but also on the board at Apple at the same time while they were both developing these streaming services.
Conflict of interest?
Much.
Anyway, is what it is.
I think they're in the denial of risk. I think they're in the peak right now culture of
stage 3.
Stage 3. Yeah,
I think you're right. And look, I mean, it's funny because Disney themselves are at stage 4. They just don't want to look at it now.
Oh, okay. I hope so.
Yeah. Well, no, they are. They're grasping for salvation, and again, I mean, we've been talking about it in various places, but getting back to this, when I make of this for Max, for HBO Max / Discovery, is that at least somebody's paying attention. Right. I mean, you have Zaslav is paying attention, and the guy that runs his money, Liberty Media guy, Malone, he's paying attention, and they both realize and recognize that the all of the failings that they had accumulated or that they had acquired in this Reverse Morris Trust merger, they had value, but they needed to be recreated, and that's one thing that Zaslav's always been good with at Discovery. But the only way you can stay profitable in this game, and you already pointed it out, Chris, is to become leaner, meaner, and more efficient. And that's what all these again, another round of lefts. Hell, Disney's laying off another 2,700 people.
Yeah, I was going to say,
next topic, you fucking bastard! God, you're jumping the gun.
What did I
But
do?
Zaslav's taken a machete to Warner Brothers. He has to, and I don't see an end to it. I know they're trying to put a happy face on it. They said in that article like a year ago that we're turning a page on this. We're not going to have another bloodbath, but you are going to have another bloodbath. I mean, I just don't see how they can't. And with Peter Safran and James Gunn starting up a whole new slate of superhero stuff.
So much money. So much money.
So much
all
money.
over.
But I understand that Zaslav believes in this superhero
He does.
fare.
He does.
I'm just afraid that we're kind of like at this, like how the Western went away, right? I feel like
Yeah,
the
we're at a
audiences are a
pivot
little
point,
tired of
turning point.
superhero stuff.
Well,
We
I
need
agree.
to breathe a little bit or have a different approach. I mean, Shazam
Yeah.
2 is just the same old. And I'm not sure that Superman Legacy is going to be much different. How many reboots of Superman have we already seen on screen?
Yeah.
If Gunn leans into a more hopeful Superman, see, this is the problem.
I don't think he has that in him. Do you?
He has humor.
I don't think he's as good as
there
everyone
was
says he's gonna
religious.
be.
There was
I
a
don't think he's gonna be
religious.
good.
There was a religious tone to the most recent Guardians film. You know?
Okay, I have not seen that yet, and I think that he's very good with Guardians. I'm not going to say he's not, and he does have his moments, but I don't know that I would rest the entire DC film slate on his back.
Or Peter Safran's back. Peter Safran
Agreed.
produced
No,
the
thank you.
Shazam movies for goodness
Yeah,
sake.
Gunn is just out front, so that's why I mentioned him.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, the guys have been working together forever, but it's just when you look at it, if he's able to do more hopeful, brighter stories, I think that it works because people are done with the deconstructionist era of Snyder and the more recent, Feige junk. I mean, we're tired of it. First of all, superheroes are a hopeful message. That's what their jam is, right? They're the best of us. And for years, Disney and DC have done nothing but destroy these hopeful images and try to replace them with the bad guy's the good guy now. And it's because and nobody can deny that's projection. When you look at that, I mean, it's like, yes.
Although I thought Wonder Woman is really one of the best of the bunch under that era, I think. I took my daughter to see it, had a tear in my eye when she hops up on the battlefield with her shield. And to me, it was just it was a great treatment for Wonder Woman. Of course, the third act with the villain was pretty much what we've seen before. But otherwise, I thought it was really well done. And there was a scene in the Justice League version that Snyder did where she saves some kids on at a bank or a museum or something. I can't remember what it was. That was really well done. I think that it would have been great if Zack Snyder could have just been a cinematographer or a DP, a director of photography, because he really has got an excellent eye for it, but I don't think he's a very good storyteller. So
it's like Ridley Scott.
He does have that broad lens. You're 100% right. I mean, he can look at a big picture and really lay it out well on screen. It's his stuff. I almost said a bad word. His stuff is too dark.
It's dark and grimy. Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
Drab. Well, so from one, we'll just get some super chats real quick. Sorry. So we got one from Tom Working, which is on this topic as well, for $5. Says Zaslav got booed during a commencement speech recently. What was that about?
Writer's strike stuff.
The writer's strike, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Oh, by the way, can I add something to the conversation previous and this? I think the reason that we're getting such a diverse range of critiques on film projects right now is because of the writer's strike. Because the material is soon going to run out for a lot of these critics, and they want to be considered. They want to be considered as reputable at the end of this road.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, also, I wanted to add, Warner Brothers Discovery was also the geniuses behind the completely all successful CNN Plus. That only lasted 1 month on that.
But wait, that wasn't them.
Brilliant.
No, that was the knucklehead Zucker ahead of him, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I would love to place the blame on that, but no, that was actually launched before the spinoff.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, before the Reverse Morris Trust. It was like the last failure of Jeff Zucker on his way out the door with the big middle finger on his way.
That's right. That was that. Yeah, that was before that. Yeah.
No, I would have loved to do that, but no. Like I said, do you realize how much money they wasted? It was just it's $1 billion.
Yeah.
Mick K has been a member at supporter level 0.5 for 26 months. So thank you so much. That's an epic milestone. Thank you so much. If you want to support the channel, we've got memberships, we've got super chats, joining the conversation. goes a long way, does help out. Now, we do have a final topic, which you alluded to earlier, culture.
I'm sorry.
Which is Disney beginning the third round
of
planned layoffs
I'm sorry.
update. So, you know, we've known about this for a little while, that they're just sort of, I mean, that this was always interesting and funny to me, because this is the same layoffs that were planned under Bob Chapek, and he got vilified in the media for it. And then Iger returns, and they're like, "Oh yay, layoffs, yay!"
Well, except Chapek was going to lay off a whole lot less people.
Yeah. Listen, if they were making any money and they could avoid layoffs, they would proudly promote the fact that they're not doing any more layoffs. Hooray!
Well, they're in so much trouble. They're bleeding.
Oh, massively. So the third wave of layoffs at Disney got underway today. Sources tell Deadline. Rising from the earlier information, the cuts are estimated to affect more than 2,500 jobs across the board at the company. Now, I don't know how much the total, because initially they were saying 7,000 people. It looks like it's going to be higher than that now, doesn't it?
Oh, look, I put this number over 12.
Because wasn't the first amount 5,000?
By the time,
so we're already above the 7,000.
Oh yeah. Oh,
after this week, it'll be over 7,000.
Yeah. No, we're look. This is the pre-June layoffs. Wait until the deep in August layoffs, because those are next up. Sorry, bad news, Disney folks. I'm telling you in advance, there's problems down the road here.
Now, apparently, parks and resorts remain mainly untouched
because they can't do it the busiest time of year. Go ahead.
Well, they can. They just shut. They're going to be shut.
They'll do it in October.
Start Galactic Star Cruiser.
All those people will be out of there.
Oh dear, oh dear. The employee.
A lot of those
slipping this week.
A lot of those folks are getting shunted to other places, though, mate.
Yeah, it was just a joke.
Do we know how many staffers they currently have? Like, what's the total, so that we know what percentage they've just done a cut?
They were roughly at 79,000 employees across the board.
So 10% is what we're looking at.
Yeah,
it should be over 10%. I think.
Yeah, they're well beyond 10% now. And in fact, those numbers might have gone back up. I was using the mid-pandemic numbers after they'd done a round of layoffs. So yeah, because at one point in time, I think they were closer to like 110,000 globally or something like that. So yeah, I'd have to go back and look at the stats.
Yeah. This is the interesting thing. They say that we hear that television, which was hit hard in the second round, is largely spared this time with a small number of layoffs.
Well, ABC hasn't done their round for whatever reason. I mean, they're following. So we'll see. Anyway, sorry.
Following the timeline of cuts, Disney CEO Bob Iger confirmed in late March, this is expected to be the last of the significant layoffs at Disney for a while. However, there's may still be some smaller cuts. They've literally put many there in the next couple of months. Sources say that's that August one you're alluding to. The initial wave began March 27th when Iger confirmed the plan for 3 rounds of layoffs as the company looks to reduce its workforce by about 7,000 employees. But it's so the second and largest wave, which brought the number of eliminated positions to 4,000, began April 24th. The company had said that it expected a third round before the summer. So are we at 2,500? We're at 6,500 then, are we? I guess, maybe. So yeah, maybe it is only 7,000. Maybe there is going to be more then.
No, okay. So we're in.
I swear there was more initially.
There's well more than that. Yeah.
I had it in my head that they would get rid of 5,000 in the first round. Was that right?
Well, they got rid of several thousand in the first round. The second round was 4,000, and the third round is 2,500. They're saying, but again, there's ABC hasn't had theirs that I'm aware of, and
so Disney as an umbrella company is bleeding many.
Yeah, and I need to revise the statement I made in 2022. The number of global employees had crept up to 220,000 between all wholly owned subsidiaries.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I wanted
the new. It's good. The new wave of layoffs comes as media companies are facing effects of the writer's strike, which is bringing film and TV development and production to a halt. Absolutely hilarious. I mean, look, what do we think about this? I mean, this again, everyone's doing it. We've literally just reported on Warner Discovery doing it. I think it's more significant when it's to do with Disney because they're so public at this point in time, and there's so many bad headlines happening for them. This is just one of a long list of horrendous headlines that they could probably do without. Even though it was planned, it's still not a good look, is it?
Well, no. I mean, the only reason they're doing it is they lost $250 million in 2022, and they're still losing money. They are hemorrhaging money. They're doubling down on their woke agenda. Nobody wants to watch it. They're losing subscribers to Disney Plus. How can they do anything but shrink?
Well, collectively, let me add more red rain to this conversation. They're in the hole currently to streaming about $12 billion. If you add up all the quarterly losses, because you just pointed one out, Chris, the quarterly losses on streaming alone are grievous.
Abysmal. Yeah.
It's bad, and they're hemorrhaging money in too many places, and the parks are starting to fall off. This is something people aren't talking about enough. Parks, they're cash cow. The 65-70% of the money that actually goes into their pockets that they can actually work with, that comes out of the parks, our Parks, Products, and Experiences division. And right now, they're not going to make enough money. Park attendance is down when normally it would be ramping up. And they're losing market share continuously to Universal. It's about to get more serious for them when it comes to that, and they have nothing to answer with. They've misused all the IPs that they own. This terrible locked-in position that they put themselves in with their version of Star Wars Land is terrible, and they landlocked it. And they spent, several $100 million on the Galactic Star Cruiser. That's going to amount to a massive massive tax write-down for 2 quarters. They're going to be able to write down about $300 million in depreciation for those 2 quarters. That's why they closed it early, because this wasn't supposed to happen until December.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And with the current state of the economy, with the fighting with Ron DeSantis in Florida, none of this stuff looks good for them. I mean, we were just talking to Drunk 3PO this last week. He said he was at the parks recently, and there was and normally at this time of year, it's like packed out and there's long lines. And he said you're literally waiting maybe 10, 15 minutes, for rides right now.
Well, average ride time right now is under 17 minutes, which is unheard of this time of year.
Yeah,
so,
it's incredible. Yeah,
this is peak
a lot more rides.
Yeah, well, we went in. From spring break to the end of summer, Florida's jammed.
Yeah,
where are these people at? They're not there, and it's too. Here's the other problem: it's too expensive. Disney has now priced themselves out of the middle class.
Yep, 100%. People can't.
We did a story last November. Actually, it was a story on Bleeding Fool that picked up something that park place, Cameron Pasha had talked about. He had heard that Disney also got caught with their pants down over that FTX scandal. Like they had a lot of money invested in that, and that's what sort of led to Chapek leaving. And if there's anything to that story, they are really at a loss. I'm really sort of wondering when Disney hits that capitulation. I mean, is Disney going to die one day? Surely not, right? Surely not. But they've bought up a lot of stuff, and I don't think they're making any money. They're not getting their money back.
They'll end up selling off a lot of stuff. I could literally, realistically, seeing it getting to the point to where they're doing just their animated movies, and they just have the parks, and that's it.
Yeah, I could see that.
That they
basically back to where they used to be.
Yeah, back where they used to be.
Right.
Well, look, and as an investor, I am not giving you investment advice. And by the way, Disney is now below $90 a share at the moment. They've fallen 2% today so far. But and by the way, I always said my buy order was at about $87. It dropped to $86 last year, and I didn't buy. But anyway, back in. So this real quick, one of the ways to evaluate a company is based on their P/E ratio. Anything over 20, 25 is something you wouldn't want to be involved in. Most people would say. Again, I'm not giving investment advice. Right now, Disney's sitting at a 39.7. That's not good.
No, it's not good at all.
And again, they're falling back down, towards the bottom end. The bottom end during the low point was $84 in the last 52 weeks. So, it's fun to look at this and go, whatever they tried to do didn't work. And now the stock price is lower than when they fired Chapek.
Yeah.
Isn't that hilarious?
I will be curious to get my hands on theme park attendance at Disney World this summer and Universal's Super Mario World.
Oh, they're gonna blow Disney out.
I think you're right.
Nintendo. Everyone loves Nintendo. It's amazing that they didn't do Super Mario World before. It's almost like. Well, great business move doing it now, but why the fuck didn't you do it sooner?
Because
Jesus,
Nintendo's been burned before. Okay, they have by other big corps, and by far, I mean, if you look at what brand recognition, Nintendo's got better brand recognition than Disney does. If you just from the outset,
the new Legend of Zelda game, it's just smashed it. Incredibly high sales.
It's making the Hogwarts Legacy success look like a pittance, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at it and I'm going to say this. They did not want to sully their brand. Well, they weren't going to get the deal. It's the same reason why the chick that owns Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, that's why she didn't go to Disney. And it's why the Tolkiens weren't ever going to go to Disney with any of their stuff. Yeah. They wanted no part of Disney because they didn't want their material to get sullied. And it was good instincts because, Disney, for whatever reason, call it corporate culture, call it whatever you want, but it's a girls' brand. Disney's a girls' brand. That's the market that they captured, and it speaks well to what Walt created originally when it came to the parks and all of his fairy tale stories, because he was always trying to entertain his daughters. Right.
The Disney princesses.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why you have a castle in the middle. That's why you have the princesses. That's why you have all these, and Fantasyland was all girl properties, right? Originally. And so, that's just what that is. And they have no choice but to turn everything into a girl's property, which is what happens with Marvel. We're almost done with that. We're going to get the full A-Force in the face here real soon, and it's what happened with Star Wars. It became a girl's property. So
yeah, you're right. Actually,
and now they've destroyed the culture at Pixar. So now you're getting weak girl crap coming out of Pixar and Walt Disney Animation. Walt Disney Studios is all female stuff.
George Lucas sold all this stuff to Disney too.
Pixar, that Apple deal was
when
bad.
Disney bought Star Wars. I remember a lot of people back then said Star Wars is dead. Disney's going to kill it, and they have wrung the very life out of it. It's kind of clever making Princess Leia a Disney princess. I sort of saw that and thought, well, that works with the brand, but. Disney also had the Mickey Mouse Club and Mickey Mouse movies and Robin Hood and Atlantis. And, they did have some guy stuff, and they used to know what
the Marvel movies were hitting then at the time.
Oh, my God. But they would never make an Iron Man 2 today. No. It was too sexist. It was too, brash. And, you got an alcoholic Tony Stark. No, never. It's done. That's over.
We used to have one of my favorite curmudgeons in our sphere. He had a blog called Disney Star Wars.
Itchy Baka.
Itchy Baka. Thank you.
Yeah. Itchy Baka's uncle or dad. I think it was his uncle.
He was so good at spying out all of this stuff so early on. It was incredible. I loved him. He's a great follow.
We cross-posted his material on Bleeding Fool for well over a year, but then all of a sudden, I think he just too many attacks. He was getting doxxed. I think I'm not sure the entire story because he kind of ghosted us. I mean, he sent a couple of messages and said he was done. And his website was, if you want to look for it, is Disney Star Wars is dumb. That was the website. Nothing mysterious about that title. And, Itchy Baka, what a great voice about what was going to happen when Disney bought Star Wars.
It was so funny. His writing was humorous and full of, there was enough venom there to definitely fire you up too. But I just, I don't know. Like I said, getting back to this, Disney's not done. They're hemorrhaging money. As somebody mentioned in the chat, and we've been talking about in different circles that I'm in, their cash on hand situation is very scary if you're an investor. Operating income.
The investors' calls are embarrassing as well, massively.
Yeah, well,
finally.
And it's not. Their distraction, deflections are not working. Everybody's seeing through them. They're under fire in multiple lawsuits, and I'm saying that correctly. Multiple.
Yeah.
2 of them investor related. One of them, not so much, but I'm sure that'll be out here in the public pretty soon. They've got problems, and for being a woke company that's so adherent to ESG, CEI, the WEF,
identity politics, everything that goes with it. Sure.
Yeah, they're falling short in that area too. I can't, like I said, there's something going on, and we're watching consumers actually realize their power, obviously through these boycotts here in the States that are starting to work. Target freaked out when their product lines were broadcast in the last few days in our sphere, so they're hiding
toddler bathing suits with application. It's insane. Insane. Budweiser is now having to buy back their expired beer. The consumer is the king. At the end of the day, the consumer is the king. And maybe that's the best reason for what Nate does and what all of us do is we point out this egregious behavior, this egregious attitude. We've got one writer, Brian Nehemiah, that says, stop giving money to people who hate you.
Yeah.
Stop it. And clearly the woman who decided to do that Bud Light campaign either hates women or hates Bud Light drinkers or something. That was tomfoolery. Well, and Disney's doing the same thing. Disney is doing the same thing. They don't care.
This is what Ivy League, like Wharton, which is where she went. Alicia Heinerscheid went to Wharton. This is what you get. This is the product you get out of there. And that's the problem with the so-called educated, because they're not educated. They're indoctrinated, and they've not been taught. They've not been taught how to do a good job, or they didn't go to the same B school I went to. They look at things differently, right? They are parrots at this point.
They're soft.
Ideologists,
they're soft.
Ideologically confined. That's
agreed.
Anyway, I got to shut up because I tend to drive this long, and I know Nate's like, I'm going to kill you, Culture.
I bet it's late there for Nate.
It is. My back's going to kill you more than anything.
Okay, I see that. All right, fair enough.
So we've got some super chats to get to. The Sundowners for $25, and this is, I think, the tweet you were Sundowners. The comment you're referring to says, according to Disney's public financials, they have literally lost half their cash on hand since COVID. They are in trouble, and they are now offering park tickets for $58 for Florida residents.
That's half.
A major discount. And there's even adverts.
Or that's over half price. Yeah.
There's even adverts tailored in the UK, like they're selling Disney trips via a subsidiary company and a package deal. So even I've seen it over here.
Wow.
It's crazy. And he chimed in again for $5, says, and wait until Comcast hits them with an almost $9 billion bill in January of 2020.
Yeah, that's the Hulu thing, right?
Yeah, and I want to add to that real quick. That's the bottom end. That's the minimum. That's not where that price is going to be. We're looking more like $12 or $13 billion, which is why this is why they're so desperate to get out from underneath.
Either.
Yeah, they have to get out from underneath a whole lot of these expenses and these people and all these things that are losing money, which is why you're seeing shows disappear from Disney Plus and Hulu, because they need to clear that paper, paper write-offs, so they can get to a point where they can buy this, because they don't want to offer Comcast a devalued giant chunk of stock. That means Comcast is going to eat their lunch for a while. And look, you can hand them $9 billion worth of stock. But when your price goes back up, if it does, Comcast is going to own your lunch. It's just terrible decision making. Terrible.
Yeah.
How can Disney turn it around?
I don't think they can at this point.
Well,
I don't either.
I look, we've had this conversation in various forms, like how does Lucasfilm turn it around? How does it can be done? What you would have to do is remove the woke mind virus, the woke culture from the company.
But that's the thing. Like cancer. This is what I mean. Like, I say it can't be done because it's so embedded in the culture of the company. No, it is. it is embedded in the culture of the company when they have so many like training programs and systems in
those
place.
Immediately, those are gone. Those are just gone.
I don't think they could. I think, well, okay, I agree with you on, but that's an identity politics. Here's what they should do. They should release
HR would have a
the original Star Wars trilogy, unedited.
Yes.
Not the extended edition, not the George Lucas special edition, the original. Put them out on Blu-ray, and they would make a nice mint.
So I can't confirm this, but I've heard rumors that apparently in the contract when George sold to Disney, that no matter who owns Star Wars ever for all time, they cannot change or do anything with the prequels or the original trilogy.
Desperate times, desperate measures, Nick. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah. How much would it cost them to break that contract agreement?
Hey, let me say this. Speaking of fan edits, there's a Hamby's despecialized edition of the original trilogy.
That's
you should
what
check
I
out.
watch. That's all I watch.
That's all I own.
That's the only version I watch.
But wait,
there you go.
But wait, you still want the sound mixing from a couple of scenes from the specialized editions, right? The special
they used that. Yeah, they used everything. They did. It's good. You should check it out.
My concern. Well, I've seen many despecialized versions at this point, but I would like I said, if you use the right soundtrack that syncs up with the battle that's going on, where it's nonsensical, then yes, I'm on board with that. But you're right. If they did that.
If they could,
they'd be printing money for a little
while. I think just going back to their original fans, just going back and saying, you know what, you don't have to do a mea culpa or anything, but just start leaning into your classic stuff and elevating it again. I don't know what they are trying to do. And I think that this Little Mermaid movie is indicative of sort of them planting a flag on something. Little Mermaid, the original animated film brought back Disney animation, which had been really just dead for years. I think the last movie before that was Black Cauldron or something, and Disney just wasn't known for their animated legacy anymore. And Little Mermaid brought that back to life in a big way. You've got some people that'll say that it didn't do that great at the theaters or whatever, but that was because Disney had no longer had a good reputation for animated fare at the time.
And that came about because of the changes in leadership. So here's what you do, right? You mandate out all of the woke garbage, which you can do, right?
You can. Yep.
You just can't get money as easily. Because that's where that's all locked in.
Disney could have cash flowed everything at one time, but now they can't. Anyhow, go ahead.
Yeah, the second part of this is you replace leadership, and the leadership you do is you do the same thing that happened when they had to bring Disney back from death the second time, which is when Eisner walked in the door because Roy O. Disney led an investor revolt and brought in Wells, Eisner, and eventually Katzenberg. You had two creatives and a business mind working together to move the company forward. And they did innovative things, radical things like you're suggesting, Chris. They released old stuff. They employed the new vault system. They started to build synergies within the park. They capitalized upon business relationships, and they were able to immediately generate cash flow. They started the new golden era for Disney, and that's how you got Little Mermaid. That's how you got the Beauty and the Beast. That's how you got all those animated classics. And you go back to your content lease agreements that you had set up originally with all these streamers and move forward, because the only way to move forward is to reach to the things that were successful in the past. And that's it.
And Nate's right, though. I think the woke mind virus has totally infected it, and you're going to have to just burn it with fire and burn it down. I don't know anything else they could do other than just sort of closing down and selling off some of their assets like Pixar and other things and say, go do your own thing. We're just going to focus on the parks and our library.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is it just look at like what I hate to keep going back to Bud Light, and I know we need to probably wrap up soon, but Bud Light tried to turn things around and put out these camouflage bottles or whatever.
It was just so blatant.
It's pathetic. But what happened was they got backlash from the LGBT community, right? They got backlash, and now they're boycotting them. It just made it worse. So what's going to happen? Disney has leaned into their pride clothing line for kids and their Pride Day and their Pride Week and all this kind of stuff.
Target's getting destroyed right now,
they can't
too.
get out of it. They can't get out of it.
Well, I think at that point, it's a case of deciding where the majority lies, right? And where actually your paycheck comes from, which is the majority, and the majority isn't them. They've worked themselves into a state where they believe that that's the majority because that's the only thing that they've immersed themselves in. So that is, by and large, what they just see around them and promoting them and stuff. Whereas, again, it's like politicians on Twitter.
Yeah.
You know, they're on Twitter and they immerse themselves in what it still kind of is woke nonsense. And they're like, oh, everyone's just woke then. Oh, I'll just get woke. It's like, no, dipshit. Pull your head out your ass, go step into the real world and see what everyone else around them is actually like and what they actually do. Same thing with this. You know, they've worked themselves into this mental state where that's all they see everywhere, and they push that as their audience, their consumer base. So they'd have to do that first, which I don't think they would do.
No, I don't either.
Again, wholesale leadership change is the only way to go about it, and it's going to require someone like Nelson Peltz and
he's
even Thiel and maybe Elon Musk to start, going to work. Because believe me, if they acquired enough stock, you get 4 or 5 of those big boys in there, ball game changes.
Yeah.
You're still going to have to replace most of the staff.
Yeah, it's easy to do. I could walk in there and just look at performance metrics and start going.
But who's got pronouns in your bios? Raise your hand. You're out. That's it. Yeah. Very simple. It's very simple. Here's your severance package.
Well, severance, F that. Unless it's written in your contract, bye.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Let's got one more super chat to get to here. So Tom Worker for $5 says, dig your take culture. I see Disney as the first in Life Branding Plus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, just real quick, because that adds to it. It adds to it though, because
I know.
No, but what I want to say is it's Disney became a lifestyle brand. That's where they effed themselves. They wanted it to be such a big part of your life, and then they build these communities. You want to get rich. Disney licenses these communities to the big builders like Pulte, right? And then charge them an operations fee. Because that way, your Disney lifestyle or idiots, the 50 over 50 with no kids people can move to their fantasy life, and you charge them homeowners of fees that include that that as an association fee, and you're off and running. Disney, go to town.
Yeah.
Smart,
ridiculous. So, ladies and gents in the chat, we got like 469 people here. I know, good, isn't it? So just as an FYI, obviously, everyone who's here on the panel, we got our regulars, we got Culture Casino, we got Nick. Tom wasn't able to make it, unfortunately. Their channels are linked down below. But we also have Chris from Bleeding Fool, which is, of course, the better website of, well, not of, but the Mirror Universe version of Bleeding Cool.
Dark Universe.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you.
So I haven't had a chance sort of going through this to sort of promote everyone here, there, and everywhere. But obviously we've got a large sum of people here now. Please do check them out. Bleeding Fool is linked in the description box. Do you have a YouTube channel as well?
No, I mean we do, but I don't
really use it.
I watch you guys too much to do my own YouTube stuff.
No, that's fair enough. So please do check out.
We live on his material. I'm just gonna say.
Hey, I share Nate's stuff all the time. We embed these videos in some of our stories. You guys have got great takes. I told Nate before we started, it's sort of a mutual appreciation society. I love it. It's a great community.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. If this is what I always say. If you've enjoyed anyone's take on the podcast, you'll like their own content. So check them out. The links are down below in the description box. As you probably could tell for the last 10 minutes or so, my back is ridiculously painful right now. And it is quite late here. And that was our last topic. So we are going to wrap up the podcast now. Thank you all so much for joining, watching, and just checking it out. In the description box down below is Mr. H Reviews live archives, which is where the podcast goes. It's a whole podcast channel. There's the highlight clips. This stream will be chopped up into individual parts, and sort of, catered over there. So do hit subscribe over there, guys. And like I said, check out everyone's channel or, website and subscribe or make it a part of your daily read. But what have we got going on moving forwards? Chris, you got anything interesting happening on Bleeding Full?
We're doing a story on this Little Mermaid shenanigans in the morning. Check us out.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. And Culture, what you got going on, buddy?
The standard 6-minute daily every weekday. We do the news the daily news as fast as we possibly can with the entertainment pop culture business and the occasional rant against the AP. We also have a video that just dropped yesterday on my thoughts around Bud Light and the distributor who was crying wolf, basically parroting the lines of the Budweiser CEO, which means he really wasn't being very kind. I'm probably going to dive into just how much faith people will lose in Harley Davidson here by the end of the week. Because, because they partnered with Bud Light. Budweiser.
Oh no, that's funny.
Because alcohol and motorcycles mix, right?
Yeah.
Jeez, come on.
At Sturgis, they do. Come on.
Yeah, well, brilliant. They do serve plenty of beer.
Sturgis is awesome. I've been there twice.
It's great. So great.
Nick, what have you got coming up, buddy?
Nothing tonight. I'm gonna be tied up on work projects. Coach has got some videos coming out. We got our big, huge EBN meetup in Nashville this weekend.
Awesome.
And let's see, this Thursday night, Chill Stream on Echo Base Network. Also check out our second channel, Echo Base Entertainment, where we cover all stuff other than Star Wars over there.
You'll have to send me a link to that so I can chuck it in the description box as well eventually.
Yeah.
Nate, I would be remiss if I didn't mention one tiny little thing. It's Tuesday, please. And every Tuesday we try to post something on Bleeding Full for what we call Toxic Masculinity Tuesday.
Love it.
And it's basically just some content that gives you a high boost, a quality boost of high T energy. And that's on our front page right now. Toxic Masculinity Tuesday. It's mostly movies and TV shows that would get canceled today because of all the toxic masculinity. So
brilliant. Absolutely. That's great. That's great. So please do check it all out down below in the description box, guys. From me and everyone else, thank you so much for joining. We'll be back here on Thursday, starting 2 hours earlier, so 7 p.m. UK time. A little bit
1 o'clock there, Central.
1 o'clock. There you go. 1 o'clock Central. So again, from me and everyone else, thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening. Take care. Bye-bye,
guys. Everybody.